everyone, Sophia here, My Great Challenge. Welcome back to my channel and another episode of Getting Things Done. I know that you all tuned in last week to watch me chalk paint this vintage, almost antique piece of furniture, and it's had a whole week to dry. It's perfect now, by the way. Chalk paint, when it's dried, it's dried. You're not gonna get any kind of powder or anything. However, I know that you are all eagerly awaiting for me to finish this piece and wax it. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do the clear wax. I'm going to distress it with a darker wax and gild it. So stay tuned for a transformation. I'm super excited, and just a quick disclaimer, this is actually the first time I'm doing this, and I'm super excited because if it works, you better believe I am doing way more pieces of furniture with chalk paint and decorative accents. Let me start. If you just tuned in, welcome. I painted this last week. The video link is down below so you can see it in case you missed it. But just a reminder, this is what the piece looked like before when I picked it up, and this is what it looks like now. How about that? So I'm very excited about this. Once you've chalk painted your piece, chalk paint, because it's sticky and it really stays on the piece of furniture. The problem with it is that it is very susceptible to scratches. So if there is a ding or anything, you're going to start seeing the paint. It doesn't peel, but it will chip the paint. So it's very important that you seal it, and you seal it with a specific wax. That's a wax sealer for chalk paint furniture. Now, a lot of people are thinking, wax, wow, aren't you going to have wax all over your fingers? And we know wax doesn't really dry. Well, this one does dry, the wax for chalk paints, and what it does is that it completely seals the piece and it hardens over time. In a couple of days after you wax it, it's probably going to be completely dry to the touch. Within 2 weeks, it will be just like lacquer. You don't have to keep adding wax to it. You can just wash it. It's basically a paste lacquer if you want to think about it that way. But the advantage is that it gives it a luster finish, not a super high gloss finish. And I like that. It gives pieces this antique vintage look to it, kind of like faded. It's been around for a long time and it lost its shine. It's a nice look. So there's different types of waxes. There's clear wax, which is going to slightly darken it, not too much, but it's mostly clear. It's what most people will use, is a clear wax. Now there's dark wax and white wax. If I was to put white wax on this, because it has a white pigment, it would end up lightening the blue. If I was putting a darker wax on it, it would obviously darken the piece. But you can use the white or the dark to do a distress look or give it a specific look. So what I got today, and I'm going to show you the list of products that I have, is both a clear and a dark wax. I picked the Chalk Tick by Howard, and I have the clear and I have the dark. So what do? You can use them right after the other. You don't have to wait for one to dry and cure to be able to use the second one, the darker one that's distressing. Actually, it's better if you do it right away because it helps you to completely blend your waxes together and it gives you a better finish. If I was to let the clear dry and then apply the dark wax, what would happen is that this one would be harder to blend in because it would go on top of a hardened wax. You can't, it's not the same look. But you definitely want to use the clear first. Don't go and put dark wax onto your painted piece. It's going to darken it and it's going to be absolutely impossible to blend. So I have, so I read. I just finished saying that I've never done this before, but I already sound like an expert. This is all of the information and research that I've done. You do the clear first and right away you do the dark. So where am I going to use the dark? Well, obviously I'm going to use the dark in crevices, and I'm going to use it in pieces like around here, here, to just give it dimension. Basically what it's going to do is darken it a little bit and make it look like it's been around for a while. I want to give it a distressed look, a look like an old antique piece of furniture. So the clear wax first, then we'll do the dark, but I'm not going to stop there. Enter Gilding Wax, and this one is by PBO. I'll put all the links down below. And for a whole week I was thinking, what color do I want? Do I want silver, gold, or copper? You can also do bronze, gunmetal, rainbows. There's different types of gilding wax. Well, you can tell that I picked a copper, and I did that on purpose because there's a piece of copper medallion, if you remember, as part of the hardware. This hasn't been cleaned yet, but it will be copper. So the gilding is going to go on the relief pieces. It's going to go on edges here and there, just a touch of it, but more importantly, I'm going to stencil it. And this is where it's going to get like, either it's a complete fail or it's going to be fabulous. No matter what, the gilding comes in last. You don't want to gild and then wax over the gilding. It will make it dull. You'll lose all of the shine from your gild. So the gilding is the last part. I got a stencil. You can decoupage and then wax. So you can do all sorts of flowers, designs. There's people on Etsy who will sell entire images to decoupage on a dresser, for instance, and then you cut it where the drawers are. When the drawer is closed, you have the full image. Here's a picture of one. And on the subject of peacock, I got a peacock stencil. And that's gonna go with the gilding because there's peacocks in the Toile de Jouy wallpaper. So brushes, you can apply the wax with brushes. This is a very good wax brush. So I have a large one like this, and I have a smaller one, and I have another one that's a different material. You can also use an old t-shirt. A lot of people actually prefer to use a t-shirt to apply their wax. No matter what, you want to apply your wax and then you buff it, because you don't want to see brush strokes on your wax. You definitely want to buff everything. So how about less talking and more waxing? So this is the Howard Chalk Stick, and this is what I'm going to use for my clear wax. Let's open it. It's a light paste wax. This is what it looks like. And it's basically beeswax with a bunch of other ingredients. It smells wonderful. Let's start. So I have my brush. You don't want to mix brushes, by the way. If I'm using this big brush for the clear, I should always only use it for clear. I should not be going and dabbing into the dark one. So I'm loading my brush, and let's start right here. Do you see how it darkens it? You want to make sure you put it everywhere. You can't leave corners and crevices not done. Okay? So if I apply a little bit too much, that's okay, because I'm going to go with my t-shirt later on and I'm going to buff it. And the buffing is very important because it removes, oh man, I can see the two different colors. It removes any kind of brush strokes. So I've taken a large piece of my old t-shirt, and what I'm going to do is buff everything. The purpose is to remove the excess wax and any paintbrush ridges that I may have. Now, I'm clearly not the best painter because I can see that I have paint brushes from on the chalk paint, but that's all right. It's my first piece. It's slightly tacky, which is, I believe, perfect. So what I'm going to do is do the rest, the other half of the top and the other side. So when I come back, we're starting the front. I'm back, and off camera what I did was finish the top. I did the other side, and I actually did all the shelves. I did the shelves and I did the inner part of the door. So that's done. I don't have to worry about anything else, and I'm not distressing the inside, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I have to tell you, I like the blue, but I like it even more with the wax on it because it makes it darker and it's more like a Prussian blue, which is really the preferred color I was looking for. It takes out the milky, you know, the chalk aspect of it. So I'm gonna start the front. With the front, when you have designs and stuff, you got to be very careful not to leave any chunks of wax. You know, you got to buff them out. First of all, the thicker the wax, the longer it's going to take to cure. But also, they're going to cure and leave chunks. So you're going to have those bubbles of clear wax that are, you know, impossible to remove. You may have to like pop them. So let's get started. I'll start from the top here. And by the way, you can see that the brush doesn't pick up any of the blue, so the chalk paint really doesn't come off or bleeds on anything. So if you didn't wax it on the shelves, I wouldn't have to worry the blue would not get onto my fabric. And so far, this is how much I've used. I don't know if you can tell. It's really not a lot, so I definitely have enough for one piece. Okay, let's do the crown. So I'm spreading it. And you want to make sure that you get the wax on everything, because it does change the colors. So you don't want to have areas of your piece that are lighter. They will show. They definitely will show. All right, and you finish with one big swoop so you don't have brush strokes. this is how much I got. I could probably do 3 pieces of furniture with this, if not more. Now, since this is my first time, let me give you a first impression. I got cat hair. So I have to, you know, once in a while, you probably saw me already, try to go with my nail and pick the cat hair. It's really not hard at all to apply. And I know that some people are probably intimidated by the whole process of chalk painting furniture because they feel like the wax is going to be the problem. It's not. It's not hard to place. The thing is, you really don't want the brush strokes. So what I'm going to do, because I feel like the t-shirt is really not, either that or my hand is too heavy, which no doubt. I think I have one of those sheepskin thing that's meant to apply stain in the boiler room. And I'm gonna let the wax harden a little bit for about, I don't know, 2 hours. And then I'm gonna go over the entire piece with that sheepskin, just to buff it. Because I really want it, I know it's my first one, but I still want to do a good job, you know. See, when I do the black, I'm going to go into all those little grooves here, in theory. So I found something even better than the t-shirt to buff, or the sheepskin, which by the way I can't find, is this thing. I bought this at TJ Maxx years ago. It's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a very soft brush for dusting. Old-fashioned dusting, I guess. And I gotta tell you, it buffs beautifully. It removes all the streaks. And I'm able to buff. I guess it's kind of like a shoe shine brush. I'm able to buff everything. And remove all of the brush strokes. Oh. All right, it is all buffed out. What I like about the wax is where I had some kind of like difference in color right here, if you remember. It looked like there were some areas that were darker than others. It unified it. So now, doesn't look it at all. Do you see the sheen on it? It's all buffed. There's no more brush strokes. It's kind of hard, see, to show. Now there's some here, but that's the paint. But otherwise, that brush is awesome. I think it's much better. Yeah, look at that. So now, dark wax. So this is the Chalk Tick by Howard Dark Paste Wax. Let's see what it looks like. It's gonna look black, okay? Just giving you a heads up. Or not. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna pull some out with a spoon that I don't care about. And I have this little brush here. Right? So the trick is not to put too much. And one thing you can do as well, if it's too thick, is add some of that clear one. It's not going to make it lighter, but it may make it more fluid. Okay, so the goal is to add a little bit like this on edges, right? And then you go in and you buff. I'm going to start with these corners right here. So here's the panel without it. Okay? And here's the panel with it. Upset because I just went upstairs and I did a live for Patreon, and we stayed, you know, a long time, which was great. It was a great live, but when I came back downstairs, all of the work that I had done on this, couldn't see it anymore. It had like faded out. So I don't know if it's the dark paste wax, or maybe am I buffing it too much, but it's like I gotta redo the whole thing. So what I'm doing now is that I'm going over it again in parts, but I'm not going to remove it with the other brush. I'm just gonna leave it on and see if that's what I'm supposed to do. Because I really like the way it looked, and I don't know if it did show on camera or not, but I gotta redo the whole thing. It's darkened in some area. Now you can see it because I've just redone it. it's just not staying. So in some areas I'm going over and I'm doing like a little dark like that, right? And with my finger I'm just like brushing it off a little bit, but it's a little disappointing. Like, I don't know, like I had these dips here that were all black and the black is not showing anymore, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the wax or if I buffed it too much. But it was a lot of work to put this together. So I'm redoing it. Alright, so I redid the whole thing. And I'm gonna take a break. I have to write my blog for Patreon, my week in review. So this is what it looks like now. And when I come back after writing that, we'll see if it faded again. It's very bizarre. I don't know why it fades. I really don't. I like the look. I think that this is not as natural as the other one, but I kind of got heavier on the wax, and I also didn't mix it. I went straight into the pot. So we'll see in about an hour what it looks like and whether or not it blended again. I mean, yeah, I still like it. Oh, I really do, actually. It looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. Okay, so I'm back. It's been about an hour and a half, and it looks like the distressing is staying on. So that's not a bad thing. I'm going to stop here. One, it's already 9 p.m. and I got to edit the tomorrow's video for Patreon, so I just can't do that. You know, otherwise I'll be going to bed at 1 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is stop here, and then I'll come back and do the gilding. So tomorrow I'm going to start gilding. I'm probably not going to do the peacocks. We'll see if I have time. Depends on how fast I can get back home. But it looks like it's staying on, and what I did was just the brush. I didn't go and buff with the t-shirt. I didn't go and buff with this. I just went with the brush and I did it in circles until it stayed. You know, just adding color. Alright, so it's been almost 24 hours and the black stain has stayed. Let me see if I can show you a little bit better. Hold up. There you go. So you can see that it has not faded over here or on top. So basically I needed to use it directly from the pot. So now we have a nice distressed look and I am ready to gild. I here have PBO GDO Gilding Wax. Let me give you a better close up. And this is a copper color. Please remember that I've never done this process, okay? My understanding is that the gilding would go on the outer part of these, but again, I'm not doing the whole thing, all right? It's supposed to look like the piece is an antique, and it was meant to be that way when it was first built. And then over time, through handling, age, you know, wear and tear, the gilding and the paint has gotten dirty and all of that. There's even waxes, I believe, that do a crackle finish. So obviously there's going to be some here and on the medallion at the bottom. I'm also going to do some gilding on this part right here, on here, but again, not the whole thing, right? On the feet, I don't know if I'm going to do any on the drawer because the drawer doesn't have any kind of frame. So do you see how it's starting to build up, right? And it was Willie's idea. I ain't cleaned this yet, but Willie said to put some on the hinges. You can put it on the metal because again it's gonna harden. So this is where I'm at. So this is what I did. I think it looks pretty neat. You tell me down below, what do you think? I don't know what it would have looked like in silver. Maybe gold would have been better. I don't know. I really like the look. And again, you gotta remember, this is gonna get all cleaned out. Let me get one of the brass thing. Let's hypothetical. Let's put that in. Okay. Right? Dresses it very nice. Okay. I've seen people going with the gilding inside there. I think it's too much. I was gonna do this part here. Same thing. I think it's too much. But I did do the feet. And I tried to make it disappear in parts where they would be rubbing off. What I have to do now is the top here, the sides, right? And then the stencil. And I know it was in total darkness, you didn't see anything. But this is where I am at. And I think it looks really cool. So I'm going to leave you at that. You're going to have to wait for the next video to see the stencils. It looks a little matte. I don't know if I can buff it later on. We'll see. I'd like to have it have a little bit more of a sheen. And it's probably going to happen later on. I'm going to go at it with a... maybe this time around I'll use the sheepskin. But I really like it. I like the contrast. This is a lot and then this is a lot. I get that. But I think that once I have the rest of the design and I have stuff inside of it, it's probably going to look less. But I think I did a pretty good job for a first time. I would say that I did a pretty good job for a first time. I can't wait to see it done. It's going to have to dry for the entire week. I'm not going to touch this again until next weekend for me. So possibly next Tuesday for you. What I need you to do is tell me down below. 1, how did I do? 2, do you like it? 3, what would you do different? And that would be it. Yeah, rate my piece of furniture makeover. Tell me how I did. Again, first time, I would say I did pretty good. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe right here in the corner. Don't forget to click that bell button so you get notified every time I post a new video, including part 3 of that piece of furniture. And then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at mygreatchallenge. And if you want to know more about my family life, you know, interactions with the family, behind the scene and exclusive content that is not on YouTube or very few times on YouTube, you can consider joining my Patreon at patreon.com/mygreatchallenge. $5 a month, 2 videos a week, 1 blog a week, 1 live per month, book club, chat rooms, Facebook page. What else? So much more. It's a great community. If you want to consider that, I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Bye.